Hi everyone, my name is Ruth the Truther, and this is my first YouTube video. I have a lot of questions about the Truther community, and I'd like to address the Truther community with those questions and with my thoughts too, and I'll be checking my phone for notes. I am the light, I am the love, I am the truth, I am. And that's true for all of us. We're all the light and the love and the truth. And we are. And that's really what this is about, okay? It's like I'm a piece of the pie of truth. I tell my version of it, what I can see. And not perfectly, of course, because, yeah, I'm a starseed, but I'm also human. And I do my best. And really, what's better than that? How can any of us do better than our best? You know, by definition. Strictly, literally, by definition. A truther, in my experience, in my opinion, is someone who digs out the truth from underneath all the shit, all the lies that are told to hide it, to hide the truth. The lies become fertilizer because the flowers growing out of it call to us, hey, look over here. I grew out of a bunch of shit. So we look beneath to see the truth and bring it above ground and let the sun shine on it, bringing light to the darkness. And I say these things not to be right, but because I want to share. I want to share who I am with my community, and my community is a galactic community. It's a universal community, but it's also a global community, and it's also my neighborhood community. It's also my family community, you know, and my tribe. It's like I want to share who I am. And don't we all, on some level? You know, unless we're just trying to hide all the time. I'm not trying to hide. I mean, I like to have some privacy for sure, but I'm not trying to hide, I don't think, much anymore. So, this is the crux of the matter for me. I'm a truther, but my social beliefs are my own, and they come from my own experience. I might have heard something on the mainstream media, but I run it through my own experience and my own truth and my own gut and my own, you know, instincts. I'm also a hippie and a radical leftist and a mom, a very intensely proud mom, and a daughter and a sister and a friend. Above all, I think maybe a sister. Not more than a mom, but I feel like such a sister to my people, you know, which is really everybody, pretty much, yeah. I'm also a survivor of childhood sexual abuse. And most of all, I'm a child of God, Goddess, all that is. That's who I really am. And I believe that's who we all really are. Whatever names you use or don't use, you know? My question is, my deep question right now, that inspired me to make this video is, why am I the only truther I know who has left-wing politics? Why? I don't get that. Both wings are needed for the bird to fly. We need the left and the right wings for the bird to fly, and the bird is our country. You know, the United States of America, the United States of America. Can we, like, have some unity in the truther community? Would that be okay? Because, it would sure help me feel more like I belong somewhere. And the left and the right, when they both come full circle, they're pretty much standing right next to each other in their love for freedom and truth. Really. I know these people. Let's be united now. Let's do that. Let's do it now, not wait. How about that? Now, the people who haven't woken up yet, okay? The people who aren't woke, who are still sleeping, who don't want to know all the crap that we've been studying for, basically our lives, or at least the last couple of years, or the last week, or the last day, whatever. The people who are still sleeping are not sheep. They have been tortured by the rules of torture that Amnesty International came up with in the last couple of years especially. All of us in this country have been, at least mentally and emotionally tortured, with the matrix being as strong as it is. But in the last couple of years, the torture has been full on. And people have suffered, not just from COVID, not just from the vaccinations, but from fear and brainwashing that has just been so intense. Hope I don't get thrown off YouTube for this, but I mean, really, really, it's true. I'll try to get you that reference. If I don't remember it while I'm talking, I'll put it in the comments. So, some things I want to talk about. One thing is sexism, okay? It's alive and well. And really, men, you got nothing to really, you don't know. You don't know. White men especially, you don't know. You've been the victors, for a couple thousand years, like, come on, you don't know. I heard one of the grandfather truthers on one of his shows say with another man who totally agreed with him that they're not sexist, but they know how they think women should be. Which is intrinsically a sexist comment, because you're basically telling somebody else who's a free person too, theoretically at least, that she should behave the way you think they should behave. That is the definition of sexism, and they didn't get it at all. They had no idea of the irony of their statement. I watched somebody last night on a meeting, and he called a politician a bitch. And I just think that's so over the top. Like, I think that politician is doing the best she can with what she's got. Calling people names, using hatred. Like, why? Why would we do that? Why can't we all share what we think? We're all different. Why should we think the same? Why can't we be friends? Why can't we be friends? Really? Okay, the transgender issue, I don't understand why it's an issue at all. I know several children. I know them, and I've watched them grow for over many years now, who are not wanting to be the gender that they were born with. And that comes from them. That doesn't come from their parents. And I know the parents too. They're not trying to make their kids a transgender kid. They're not. They're trying to honor their child. They're trying to honor the spoken wishes of their child or their children. That's all they're trying to do, and they're trying to figure out how to do it. There's nothing wrong with being trans. Nothing. In fact, it's a very dangerous game and takes complete courage. And the truther community takes a lot of courage to be a truther too, but to be a trans person and a trans kid. So this is my experience. This is not what somebody told me on the TV, So I respect and honor trans people. Yeah. And women. Okay, so young people, many young people are all caught up with gender pronouns, right? Including trans pronouns. But that's because that's what they care about. They're not making this shit up. They want to educate us. They want us to be honoring them. Like, just like we did when we were their age, Like, come on. That's their shtick, okay? We grew up with sex and drugs and rock and roll, maybe. They've got gender pronouns to teach us. And why not welcome them in and listen to them and try to respect them and what they say about who they are? The most basic form of respect is listening to the words somebody says about themselves, and honoring them. Doesn't mean you always believe them, but at least you listen and you honor, right? I mean, don't you want that? And I guess I'm just, I'm talking to everybody, but I just feel so frustrated with the truthers and the right wing for just being so full of hatred for people who think and act differently than they do. I don't understand it. Especially in the truther community, I don't understand it, because we're supposed to be about the truth. We're supposed to be about love and God, and so why have hatred? Why claim it with pride? Why not just let it be? And racism. Okay, how about racism? Do you think it's still alive and well in this country? Yeah, I do. Ask yourself. Do you ever feel the racist thoughts flitting through your head? Do you? Do you ever see them? Racism is in the air, man. And if you're not careful, if we're not careful, we can just adopt the thoughts flitting through our brains as truth. But just because we're thinking something doesn't make it true. And it's our job to school our own selves about whether or not we're being racist or sexist or anything. But racism is alive and well and living in this country. And why not just accept that instead of fight it, man? Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter was directly in response to black people being killed by cops. That's true. That happened. And it happens. And hopefully it happens a lot less now than it did since Black Lives Matter became a thing. I hope so. And the thing is, blue lives matter too, white lives matter, everybody's lives matter. That's not the point. Blue lives matter. How much courage does it take to be a cop? Real physical courage. It's incredible. And the ones that really want to protect and serve, my proverbial hat is off to them. But the point here is that black people are talking about themselves, okay? They're saying we matter. And they do. That's not to take away from anybody else that matters. Everybody else matters too. It's just their turn to matter, okay? What did Europeans do to them centuries ago? Total enslavement. We don't want enslavement of anybody. We don't want enslavement of children. We don't want enslavement of anybody. Let's help heal the enslavement. Yeah, it happened a while ago. But just a little more than 100 years ago, it was still a thing. Really. Let's just heal the racism in ourselves. Let's start with ourselves, because it's a very good place to start. Start from the beginning, which is ourselves. All right. So, abortion. I believe in my right to choose. I do. I believe in other women's right to choose. I believe in women who are children. I believe in their right to choose. I do. And I certainly don't believe in some man telling me what right I have over my body, my own body. Especially if the fetus is so little and so young, it's part of my body. I get to decide. Social welfare. I've needed welfare. The state has helped me a lot. Provided me and my daughter a place to live when my daughter's father was not being nice. Thank God. Thank God. It's helped me buy food for me and my daughter. It really has helped. I've needed it. And, there's any number of reasons why I needed it. I was a single mom, that's the basic reason, but not only that, I was so messed up by what happened to me as a baby, as a little kid, as a child growing up. Like, I'm still dealing with it every day. And I made the commitment to heal no matter what. And I couldn't do the healing and dedicate myself to a matrix job. I couldn't do it. I still can't. I am not physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually able to do it. I needed help, I needed help. And debt forgiveness, Jubilee, yay! I've needed to borrow a lot of money to live. I have. That's how people get money in this culture. It's one way anyway. I hoped to get a career, so I got a master's degree. And man, I'm still dealing with those debts. Yeah, I deserve debt forgiveness. I've worked really hard for this world. And you can't know how hard I've worked, but maybe you could respect my words. Jeez. I've worked really hard to love this world. And myself. And my family. And my friends. And the universe and God. Yeah. So a lot of people are still in poverty because they don't know how to overturn their ancestral heritage, or they're suffering on the inside or on the outside. And as you know, probably, suffering in this culture is not really allowed. We're not allowed to be vulnerable in the Matrix. You know that, right? So, how do we do this how do we heal and still stay in a job which is part of the Matrix? How do we do that? I don't know. I haven't answered that question. I'm 61 years old. No, I'm 62 years old. And I still haven't figured that out. Not because I haven't tried. I've tried. Tried really hard. But between having a spiritual life, being a spiritual being in a human body here and really doing that and then healing, do you have time for anything else? And then being a mom, do you have time for anything else? So, and people get really mad about Donald Trump and they love him passionately too. And it's like, there's all kinds of information about him. There's what we've seen him do on the television and heard him say. There's videos about him that say he's done terrible things. He's been incredibly rude, to say the least. But if he's really a truther, I want to know. But I haven't seen him say that he is. I haven't seen him do really anything that speaks to my heart, that says, yeah, he wants to uncover the truth from under the lies. I haven't seen him do that except by kind of thumbing his nose at the establishment, which, I'm good with that. Yeah. But I don't like the rudeness. So, Donald, if you're for real and you love Americans, including me and people like me, would you show it? Would you tell us, please? Because we haven't felt very loved by you, Donald. We haven't. So, I'd like to know what's really going on inside you, where you really are at, how you really believe. Because I don't feel like I've seen it yet. Unless I'm going to go with the outside, what you've shown us, And that person has been so cruel. So, once I realized that I agreed with a lot of what Trumpers have been saying, I lost my fear of a lot of Trumpers, okay? But if I'm driving down the road and there's a big pickup truck right on my tail pushing me to go faster, that's scary. You know, it's scary. So, if people would stop being so scary, that would be great. You know, that would be so great. Especially us truthers. If we just stop being mean, say our truth and how we feel, you know, without being mean, without calling people names, that would be so great. It would change everything immediately. It really would. It would. It would make us all a lot easier to listen to and to believe. If the truther community does in the truther community, does spirituality have to be right-wing, or can anybody apply? Because I am officially applying. I would love acceptance in this community, you know, with my left-wing politics. I would, and I'm more left-wing. I'm not liberal. I'm way more than liberal. Liberal's a bullshit appellation or label or name. It's bullshit. It implies people who don't really believe what they say and who don't live according to their beliefs. Now, where is the pride in calling each other names and hating on each other? What is proud about that? Especially when we all, of all people, we know that it's the controllers pitting us against each other, as well as the mainstream media. Why? We know that that's true. We know that. So why would we get mad at, you know, people who aren't running things, who aren't running the government? Why would we do that? You know, we think differently, but you know what I like to say? I like to say this, like, Republicans kind of want to keep what they have and have more. Democrats kind of want to share. Yeah, we need both of those things. Everybody needs both of those parts to themselves to be active and real. Because, you know, sometimes we need to keep what we have and sometimes we need to share. We're all like that. It's part of being human and it's part of living with other people. Thank God people share with me. Thank God. I don't know how I could have done this without all the gifts that I have received from other people. Especially my mom. Thanks, Mom. And Newt. And the mainstream media, yeah, it lies to us all the time. It does. But it also lies to right-wing people. The right-wing mainstream media lies too. Lies constantly. It really does. Tells stories and backs them up with not facts. And there's just so much bullshit going on. It's not just the left-wing media, it's the right-wing media too. Really. One of the major reasons we are exhorted, and by Jesus of all people, to love our enemies is because they might become our friends. Another reason is because the things we hate in our enemies, we also hate in ourselves. So do we want to be unconditionally loving ourselves or not? Of ourselves, do we want to love ourselves or not? You know, we have to accept all of ourselves if we're really going to love ourselves unconditionally. If we're going to bring heaven to earth, we have to love ourselves and each other unconditionally. That's the whole point. Yeah. So, may we have a dialogue, please? A nice one, you know? A polite one. A loving one. Because I love you all. I love you. There's so many people that I listen to on social media that I fucking love so much. And then they call somebody on the left a name. And and express hatred toward them. And I just have to turn the damn fucking machine off. Because I don't want to listen to that, you know? I don't. So, hope this helps. I hope it doesn't hurt anybody's feelings. I just hope that we really learn to get along. Really. Especially with each other, you know? Because we all are on the same side. And that's the side of truth and love. And Mother, Father, God. And what else is there? Love you. Bye.